What are you expecting from Ross County? Because obviously, aside who've got a new manager in John Hughes, and they've sort of been a little bit up and down under him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it was one of his first games in charge. They beat us at Easter Road. They've had a couple of positive results, beating Aberdeen and stuff as well. But then that's sort of been littered with a couple of negative ones as well. So we know it's got to be difficult. I know John personally, and I know he'll be motivated to win. And he's vocal and determined and energetic. So I think it'll be a very difficult game. I've always found going up there personally, it's a tough place to go. It's quite a tight pitch, and I think if you look at their team as well, they've got a lot of good players as well. So it'll definitely be a tough task. But as I say, we're in a good place at the minute. We're a strong team, so we're looking to go up there and take all 3 points.
Great, thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
And I know. You go. Cheers. I know you sort of came in back into the team against Rangers. Do you feel that you had a point to prove that you weren't just a backup that day?
Yeah, I think I did. I mean, obviously, it's difficult when you're sort of out in the cold and you're looking for the outside in, and you need to just park your sort of selfishness and just try and support the team. So, for basically the middle of June when we started pre-season up until that Rangers game, I was sort of working in the background. I'm training every day now. We've got a great sports science team here that have helped me. I've cleared up all my little niggles, so I feel that I'm in the best possible place physically and mentally that I've been in a long while. But as I say, nobody sees the hard work you do in the background. And I think if I'd skipped or cut a couple of corners in the lead up to that Rangers game and been put into that game, might have sort of been found out. But I think definitely all the hard work I've done up until that point stood me in good stead. And as I say, I'm delighted to be back in the fold. I mean, I've supported the guys while they've been winning. And players will tell you it's great when the team's winning, of course it is, but it's not quite the same when you're not involved, because I've always been in the mindset, if I'm not playing and contributing, then what is my value? But obviously I keep getting told that there's value when you're not playing as well, and I understand that, but sometimes it's difficult to wrap your head around that when you're not actually on the pitch helping the guys. So I'm just delighted to be back playing and, as I say, contributing and helping the team.
And you mentioned knowing John Hughes quite well. I'm guessing, growing up a Hibs fan, he would have been a player that you kind of watched a lot of at Hibs.
Yeah, certainly. He was a physical, imposing centre-half that loved the defending side of the game. So I did admire him, and he's also from Leith as well. So there's a lot of connections there.
Yeah.
He played till later on in his career. So, and he's went into management. You can see he's had spells of success. So he knows the game. And as I say, he'll have the team motivated to go out there, and he'll be looking at from his perspective that we're on a good run, and he'll want to end that.
It's just like that, right?
Cheers, mate.
Dan, obviously, you've came into the team sort of in place of Ryan Porteous, and there was a bit of speculation around him last month about wanting to go over too much old ground. How have you sort of found he's responded to that, and have you been able to mentor him through it?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be difficult from his perspective, because he's obviously, Porto's not done a lot wrong. I mean, I think that's testament to him and Paul McGinn. If you had asked me a few weeks ago give me 5 players that have been sort of instrumental in where we are at the present minute, like the back 3 would have been in the top 5. McGinn, Hanlon and Porto, I think they've all done tremendously well. So I just had to sit on the sidelines and, as I say, wait for my chance. The gaffer decided to put me in, and I think I've done well enough to sort of keep my place. But Porto, the speculation around him, and obviously it's granted and warranted because he's a top player. I keep saying that to him. He's miles and miles ahead of me. Yeah, I've even spoke to Paul Hanlon as well in terms of where he is at the present moment. So it's just about his reaction in times like this, how he reacts in a positive manner, and that will stand him in good stead for later on in his career, because he's got a great career in front of him, and he just needs to keep learning and progressing. And if he does, no doubt he'll be a top player.
Because there's more than him obviously being spoken about, but is it nice for you as one of the older heads in the changing room to see these young guys being spoken about in that manner?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's been a lot said about Hibs and their academy over the years, and how we've not really produced since your Scott Brown, Tomos, and what a career is and stuff. So it just shows it's the hard work in the background is paying dividends, and sometimes when you're nurturing, maturing these young guys, it doesn't happen overnight. So as I say, Porto's a prime example of that. We've got other guys that are just on the outside looking in that I'm sure in the next year or two will definitely step up to the mark. But Portlaw is a product of the Hibs academy and environment, and you can produce a guy like him every now and again. You're not doing a lot wrong.
Just finally, you're going to be, by the time next season starts, you'll be 36. Are you looking towards the future? I know I didn't want to remind you, but are you looking too much towards the future, or are you just taking it game by game now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just enjoying it then, to be honest. I'm just enjoying playing with Hibs. I was lucky enough a couple of years ago to get this contract, which enabled me to do a bit of coaching, which unfortunately I've not been able to do at present with the pandemic and stuff, and being a mentor, which I think there's 6 or 7 mentors in that dressing room. I don't need a title to be a mentor. I always try and help the younger guys and give them the best possible advice to sort of maximise their potential. So I'm halfway through my licence. I'm doing that, so I'm ticking a couple of boxes in the background, but I just find it very hard to commit to something else when I still feel like I've got a lot to give. And I'm sure the manager or the fans will tell me when they think they've had enough of me. But at present, as I say, I'm enjoying every single week. I still enjoy coming in. You hear older players saying that they can't be bothered with the grind anymore and the physicality, and it's taking a toll on their body. But I'm still enjoying it. As I say, I come in every morning. I do exactly what's asked of me, and I still feel like I'm contributing. And so until that day comes where I feel like I'm not, then I'll just keep going.
Darren, you mentioned that second could potentially be a goal for the club, but how much of a motivation is it that you could be part of a team that finishes third, because it's not something that the club's achieved since way back in 2005?
Yeah, I mean, I think personally we all set out sort of a target at the start of the season where we wanted to finish, and it's obviously European football was something that I think we've been starved of in recent times. Not so recent, to be honest. The last couple of years we've been there or thereabouts, but I think historically we've not been finishing high up the table as I think we should have, and what fans expect. So we're in a great place, really good place. If you'd asked us at the start of the season that we'd be positioned in third at this point in the season, you would have taken it. So as I say, but until the end of the season actually comes, there's no point me sitting here saying that we'll finish third, we'll finish second, because that could all end in sort of tears, to be honest. So I think we need to focus on what's at hand, and as I say, keep grinding each day and keep ticking these boxes and going to places like Ross County and winning the games. And then at the end of it, if there is that reward there, then we can celebrate. But until that time, as I say, we just need to focus on the next job in hand.
In terms of that run you went through, obviously losing the cup semi-final and then the few results in the league, was there any sort of discussions in the dressing room, or was it a case of, you've always had belief in yourself that you could get back to where you were, before Christmas?
Yeah, I think if you've been in football long enough, you understand that there is peaks and troughs, and you know that. I mean, at the start of the season, as I say, we were winning most weeks, drew a couple and lost a couple, but that was the first sort of time we had lost back-to-back games, so it hurts, and you do reflect and you ask yourself questions that is there something changed? Are we getting complacent? This, that, next thing. But I think it's just football. Sometimes you have a run of bad results, but I think it's your reaction. For me, it's always about the action. And as I say, I think since a couple of bad results, I think we've definitely kicked on and we're in a really good place now. So it's just about keeping that sort of continuity and as I say, going to places like Ross County and winning. And as I say, at the end of the season, if we've achieved what we've set out to, then we can all celebrate it. Thanks enough.
Darren, right. Sorry, Darren, I couldn't get myself unmuted. You spoke a little bit about your sort of personal journey and sort of looking ahead to the future in terms of coaching. On a serious point, we've seen this week some things we don't want to see in football in terms of the abuse Mike Dean suffered, and Derek spoke recently about sort of the pressure he's under. You've seen Neil obviously in the past has suffered with things off the field. Is that something that comes into your thinking when you go into that next step of your career? Do you need to think about that and discuss that with your family in terms of what might happen, what might come with that?
No, I've not really been made aware of things that you're talking about, but obviously I understand that Mike McInnes and Neil Lennon as managers, when you put yourself in that position, you're always you're always going to be under intense scrutiny. It is a difficult call to make because, as I say, you're constantly questioned. But I think that's just the nature of the beast in football. The reason we love it is because when you're doing well, as I say, you get all the plaudits and the adulation, and when you're not doing so well, then the opposite happens. But I mean, me as an individual, I always try and keep myself as close to centre as possible. So even though I came in and I'm doing well at well, I'm not getting carried away. I know that football's a lot of football players have short memories, and it's about the here and now and what you do now. So just fully focused on what I do. And as I say, win, lose or draw, I try and stay as close to centre as I possibly can.
And just you talked a little bit about sort of being that person, that mentor for some of the younger players, and not getting carried away. We spoke to Josh a few weeks ago when there was talk of Chelsea's, Arsenal, Celtics and stuff, and you could tell it was a really exciting time for him in terms of the prospect of that. And he was talking about his mates throwing him tweets and stuff, and he was enjoying that. Have you spoke to him about how he can sort of maximise his time at the club and how he can sort of get those sort of moves and when to sort of take them?
I think first I've not spoken specifically about that, but I think Josh he's somewhat a Porto in that he's got a bit of steel and grit to him, and he's tenacious, he's aggressive, all these things you want, and that's obviously coupled with really technically good ability. So his time will come, but I think all these younger guys should know, and I think they do know as well, that it's hard work that gets you there. So you take your eye off the ball when you start thinking about this team and that team want them, and then it can affect your current form. That again can affect the chances you move in. So it's just about staying grounded. And to be fair, every young guy in this academy that I've spoke to, they are grounded and they deal with the here and now, and that's the way you get moves in football. I mean, John McGinn came here and obviously had a wonderful few years, and he's kicked on again because he's got the same attributes that I see in Porto and Doige and all these young guys as well. And it's about taking your opportunity when it comes. So I'm sure that there will be plenty of opportunities for these guys, but first and foremost are at Hibs, and they still need to work day in, day out to be the best person that they can be. And as I say, the fruits of their labour will show in years to come.